So if you've ever felt like everyone else seems to get a little bit more respect than you, specifically by everyone else, I mean rude people. You ever seen someone so rude and so snappy and so blunt and bold and have no regards for people's feelings, but somehow people still tiptoe around them? It's a phenomenon that I've noticed since I was a child, that the rudest adults, the most disrespectful, the most bold, arrogant adults seem to just get way more respect than the soft-spoken, more gentle person. And I used to be like, as a Christian, I'm in church even, I'm like, why is that? How come these people have more power, more fear, more respect in the community than the people that are actually doing good? And yeah, I finally understand why. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why that is. And you comment your own theories before watching this video on why you think that is, and we'll see if you're right or if you're spot on. But I'm not only going to tell you how that is, but how you can still remain a good person, but get that respect that the rude people have without having to same breath. There are people that aren't rude, that are very polite, that do get respected, and people not tiptoe on eggshells around them, but people are not just talking to them any kind of way, but they're still kind and they maintain their moral indignity. But before we get into this video, first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Karina Mental Gems. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. So I have my notes here, and the first thing that I put down is that rude people always make sure that their efforts are being acknowledged, period. Their efforts are being acknowledged. And the thing with the meek and nice and gentle person is that they tend to feel unappreciated. Like people don't notice the sacrifices that they do and stuff like that. If you think of the long-suffering wife, right? The wife that sacrificed her career, her life to be the mom, and her kids grow up and go to college and forget about her and abandon her. Her husband ends up divorcing her and marrying a younger woman, never appreciating the efforts she did in the home, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Same even with the super, super gentle, sincerely nice guy that's not announcing that he's a nice guy, but he really is a nice guy, where women find him boring. They don't really want to entertain him. His wife feels bored in a relationship. She needs some spice. So she starts stepping out with the gardener and, you know, all of that stuff. And one thing that you'll notice is that with these people, like the long-suffering wife, is that she don't really push to make a big deal of all of the sacrifices that she's making, or forces her partner to acknowledge the sacrifices that she's making. And himself, he just wants to keep the peace so much that he doesn't make it a big deal. It just seems like you make it seem like it's just your norm so much that people almost expect for you to sacrifice for them, bend over backwards for them, and that they don't even honor what you're doing because to them, they become entitled. You know, anytime you allow people to use you, those people become entitled and they start to expect it. When people have expectations, they stop saying thank you, and you may do way more for someone than someone else has. And you notice that the person who did the least is who they respect the most. And it can feel like a slap in the face, but you're just being a little too passive with what you're doing, and you're making people feel entitled. So how does a rude person get respect with what they do? Because a rude person, quote unquote, I'll just say it, and I don't think necessarily it's all the time rude. Yeah, there are people that are just rude, but people with boundaries, you say. Because if you're a woman, you know this all too well, that if you have boundaries or respect for yourself, they label you the B word, or you're difficult, or this and that, when in reality, you just have boundaries. So one of those things is that with rude people, quote unquote, boundary people, but we'll just call them rude for now. Those type of people that get respect, are people that don't overextend themselves. They're not people pleasers. They're not bending over backwards all the time for everyone, for every circumstance. And you can still remain, and I've done so many videos on people pleasing and stuff, even in a biblical context, where you guys can go check that out. So I'm not going to dive into that in this video, but you can still remain a good Christian without being a doormat. Christ never called you to be a doormat to anyone. You help and love people, but you cannot pour into someone when you have nothing to pour from, overextending yourself. So one thing I noticed with people who have a lot of respect is that they do what they can for you. And once they've done all that they could, that is enough. They're done. They're done. That's it. And they're not overextending themselves to the point where they don't create patterns with people. So people don't expect anything from them. Like people don't have expectations. How you may be creating patterns and why people don't respect your efforts is that it's expected. Like if we call Kareen will pick up. She always picks up. It's expected. She's always available. She's always going to be there. I'm using my name, but insert your name as you say this, that people just know they can count on you to always bend over backwards, to always extend yourself. There's a group project, but you're the person that does all the work. There's a party you and your friends all decided you guys are going to do, but you're buying all the products. You're putting everything together. You're cooking all the food. You're doing XYZ. Like, God forbid somebody puts you in charge of anything, you overextend yourself to try to, prove that you're this nice person. And those type of people, unfortunately, they get walked all over the most. And even Jesus had standards in the Bible. Jesus had boundaries. God has boundaries, right? If God did not have boundaries and he was a people pleaser, then after Eve ate the fruit from the garden and so did Adam, they would have never left the garden. Because people pleasing Kareen would have understood, well, I understand, keep him in the garden. No, there's consequences to your actions. As Christians, people should have consequences to their actions, especially when they use us, right? And not just that, there's so many examples in the Bible when David got with Bathsheba, for instance, and he went and had her husband killed in the front lines. His lust went and got her pregnant. And guess what? God said you're going to lose that baby. That's the consequences of you taking an innocent man's wife and then killing the man, and then you think everything's just going to be fine and dandy because I love you. The Lord loved David. He said David was a man after his own heart, but David still suffered consequences. Guess what? David was praying. He was fasting. He was begging God, please. He was not eating. He was just downcast. Like, please reverse this for me. Like, forgive me, Lord, And guess what? The Lord still had his boundaries and was like, no, I said what I said. Even though he's merciful, he said what he said, in all his mercy. And at the end, when it came to pass, David wiped up his tears and he praised God and he was like, listen, it was a fault of my own. He realized where he was wrong, what he did. But imagine if God let that slide. David would have just been out here thinking that I can just keep getting any woman I want. I can just go kill their husbands every single time. God's going to forgive me, blah, 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 blah. Even the Holy Spirit, God in all his mercy say, do not grieve the Holy Spirit, right? We're not supposed to be constantly sinning against our conscience. Like whatever we feel is wrong, eventually the Holy Spirit will leave us. So in this regard, for my Christians, because they usually have the most pushback when you talk like this, or you try to tell them it's okay for you to not be a doormat, they usually have the most pushback. And take it from me, because I would have the most pushback. But the Bible itself is a testament to not being a people pleaser. Even when people would ask Jesus when he was on earth to give us a sign, do signs and wonders, he was like, what? I'm not your genie in a bottle to just do that. Like whenever these people ask me to do. When he whipped people out of the synagogue for selling, and treating the synagogue like it was a market house. You think people pleaser? He was a people pleaser. He would have just let it slide. So in that same breath, rude or people that get respect, they have consequences for their actions. And they do not just be doing stuff. They're not genies in bottle for people. I do what I can for you. If it's in my power, I'm not just going to tell you no just to be mean. But it's not going to always be at a cost to me, an inconvenience to me. If I have work to do and I can't do the work, you're really interfering with my livelihood, my family time, my mental health and stuff, but I'm overextending myself. People are not going to respect you for that. Au contraire, they're going to disrespect you. So you need boundaries, you need consequences for actions when people do things to you. And that's how you get your respect. Which goes into my second, stop letting things slide. Again, I just gave y'all the example of Jesus with David, with God with David, right? He didn't let that slide with David. There's many examples in the Bible where God would not let it slide. Kings that was disobeying. And, you want to act like this? Okay, this curse will come to you. This will be blah, blah, blah. The same merciful God was not letting stuff slide. And I hate how Christians, and I want y'all to share this video with your favorite Christian that likes to use Bible verses to make you a people pleaser or a super nice person and feel, no, you go against God when you're like that. God allowed plagues to happen to disobedient people. He punish those he loves. He even said, corrects those he loves. Blessed are those who get corrected by God, because it's a sign that he loves you. If you're a parent, I'm not a parent. As a child, I knew when an adult was correcting me because I did something wrong, it was love. I understood that because I saw how other kids that wasn't getting that correction, how they would turn out. And I understood even in my young age that this is love. This is love, and they're looking out. Now, as I got older, I grew to appreciate that a little bit more, that there was consequences for my actions when I misbehaved, when I spoke back, when I did all those things. Because I wouldn't be this Korean respecting adults. I'd probably be in jail somewhere, an addict or something like that, if there was not consequences for my actions. You need to stop letting stuff slide and give people consequences for their actions. Period. Do not negotiate it. Stop letting stuff slide. Listen, I know it sounds tough, but start giving people the same energy. You want to be rude to me? A rude person, quote unquote, that gets respect. Somebody's giving them rude energy. You know what I used to do? If a really good friend of mine was giving me rude energy, or family or whatever, somebody close or whatever is giving me rude energy because maybe I said no to something, or I'm not as available, or something weird, whatever the cause may be, I would be the type, like, once I express myself, like, there would be people that once you express yourself or something that hurt you, they automatically turn it into an argument and they invalidate what you're feeling. And instead of just standing my ground and not letting it slide, okay, you're giving me rude energy, I'm gonna give you rude energy back. I'm not gonna cuss you out or talk bad. I'm still, God says be angry, but do not sin. In my anger, I'm not going to sin. But also, I am not going to be, back then, Kareen would have been texting, hey, trying to make small talk, trying to ease things up. They continue to mistreat me like that. Now it's like, you don't call me, I don't call you. You don't text me, I don't text you. Hey, you don't got to deal with me. Out of sight, out of mind. Once you calm down, you can reach out to me. But until then, I'm not going to be the one reaching out to you. And you are rude to me. You're disrespectful to me. This is why the disrespect continues. There has to be consequences, no matter how much it hurts you. I know it hurts. I'm telling you, look to me in my elbows. But look to me in my eyeballs, okay? Listen, I know it hurts, but you have to have consequences for people's actions. And I'm staying on this for a long time because this is one of the things that I struggled with the most. People have to feel what they're doing. They have to feel it to learn. Do not enable people. You enable people when every time they're uncomfortable, you seek to comfort them. Like when they're uncomfortable by the consequences of their own actions, you're seeking to make it better at your own detriment, at the cost of your mental health or your walk with God. That's not your job. You can be uncomfortable because you don't care about my uncomfortability. When they're being rude to you, do they care about how you feel? A rude person, which brings me to third, is, I know it all sounds crazy mean, but understand the context. Rude people are not concerned with everyone's feelings. They're not. They're concerned about their feelings first. Now, how you can do that and maintain yourself, I'm not saying to be selfish and be concerned about your feelings, but first, you put God first. But then after God is God, then you. You cannot be a help to anybody if you're not here anymore. If your mental is not good, if you're unhealthy, if you're sad, if you're depressed. Many times in the Bible, there was hungry people, like Jesus was preaching to hungry people. He knew they were hungry. He didn't continue preaching to them. He provided them with food. What about the fish and the bread, right? He provided them with what they needed. And a blind man come to him. He healed them, gave them back their vision. A lame man, he made walk again. You got to look at it this way. If your human needs are not being met sometimes, it's harder for you to praise the way that you should. God knew if the people are hungry, their mind is on food. It's an animalistic feeling to be hungry. They're not on the word that I'm giving. I'm not going to send them away empty-handed. He feeds them. With you, if you're not here mentally, you're stressed and crying and depressed, you're in a toxic relationship where you're underappreciated, being disrespected, people are being rude to you, and you're crying all the time, you're hurt, you're in this depth of darkness, how can you ever see the light or goodness of God? That's why I said God first. And God doesn't want that for you. He does. I don't care what you say. There's nowhere in the Bible, because he said, I know the plans that I have for you. I'll find that Bible verse, put it up for you. Plans for your own, to give you a hope, plans to prosper you. God does not have it in his plan for you to be miserable, for you to be in abusive, toxic relationships, for you to be a doormat. He wants you to live a happy life. He does not want that for you. But a lot of people think that to be in the Christian walk, to be a good person, you must be unhappy. You must sacrifice your happiness, your peace, your mental health. That's not it. And putting yourself first is not always, there's a selfish way of doing it. Like, you got to be a good Samaritan. You see someone in real danger. It's not like I'm taking advantage of you. Someone really needs your help. Of course, you be there. Do not say no to someone when you actually can and they genuinely need it. Not everyone is trying to use you. Have your discernment to know the difference. But in some cases, I've said it thousands of times, there's a mom watching this right now, and you got your grown son in your basement that's not helping you pay a lick of bill. You're doing his laundry. You're cooking for him. You're cleaning. He's staying in your house rent-free. He's not working and he's not going to school. You're enabling. That is not a good Samaritan. That is not what God calls you to do. You hold people accountable. Au contraire, the Bible speaks against laziness. The Bible even says, and I'll put the verse up here, he who does not work do not deserve to eat. You should not eat if you don't work. If it is in your power to work and make bread and you don't make it, you don't deserve to eat. He speaks so much about laziness and slothfulness. God hates it. He hates it. So you're enabling. Y'all have family members, especially when you're the one in your family that went to school, that got a little money, this and that. And everybody else had the same health, the same amount of days as you, the same opportunities, and they went different paths. Like, you have two sisters, and this is a tough love example. Please don't nobody take it the wrong way, but I'm just giving you a real reality here. Two sisters. One of them decided to, I don't know, not go to school, not get an education, and go have kids really young, don't stay with the baby daddy, go be with somebody else, and party and da-da-da-da. This is what the sister does. But maybe they start to understand the gravity of their mistakes as they now hit their 30s. They're like, dang, I probably should have went to school. I should have da-da-da. I should have did this. My finances is bad. I'm not stable, blah, 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 blah. They're starting to see where they went wrong. But the other sister went to school, did things right, boss, like the rich auntie boss, got it like that, okay? Married somebody else who's a boss, finances is in order. This sister that didn't do her stuff right comes to the sister that got her stuff right and starts to feel entitled to every bit of success that this sister has. And like, you think you're better than us, you're bougie. In certain communities, it's more prevalent. When you have one that got their stuff together, they treat her wrong. Like, you love your family. You love your family, but you're the least respected in your family if you have something, because people don't even see you as a person anymore. They just see you as help. That's what you are. You're help. Let me call for this. Let me call for that. He got it together. He making it. Like, I have people in my life, like friends in my life, that are the main breadwinners in their family. I'm not talking about husband and wife. I'm talking about family, like cousins, uncles, nieces, this, that. Everybody comes to him or her, you know, and they're the main one. And those people tend to be the most disrespected in the family. And because you want to put everybody on, once you make it, maybe this sister tried to help and tried to babysit a lot for the sister who didn't have her stuff together. Let her borrow money, let her borrow a car, let her do this, that. And it comes to a point where you're like, dang, I'm always the one giving, I'm drained, and you're not doing anything with it. And so now this sister starts to have boundaries. And this sister is like, since when do you think you're better? Because you're not even appreciating what I'm doing. And sometimes as people, we want to take everybody with us. We make it and we have guilt. There's a thing where you get successful and you genuinely feel guilt. You feel guilt to travel. You feel guilt to have nice things. You feel guilt to really relish in all your success and even helping other people that might not be in close proximity to you. You got to do it in secret so your lazy friends or family member don't find out that you just helped this person that genuinely needed, because they don't even want you to help the real less fortunate, because it should be to them. Because the blood, or because we've been friends for 15 plus years, there's really people like that. That's not it. Because y'all think that being a Christian too, you're supposed to just be completely poor. That's why I want to do a video on the Bible and economics, because God actually wants us to live and be married. The whole books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes is surmise and be merry. Live your days and be merry. Happy. Make your heart glad. Drink and be merry. The Lord wants us to be happy, help, be charitable, but He don't want us in the streets wearing sackcloth all the time. Like, we don't serve a miserable God. Look how He dresses the lilies. He, to the point He tells us, don't worry about it. If I can dress up the lilies like this, Solomon in all his glory is not even dressed up like the lilies. When you look at creation, you know our God loves to flex. He loves to flex. Look at the birds, the different varieties. He's not just going to give you one type of bird. Every time I watch a nature documentary, I'm learning about new animals I didn't even think could exist. There's like thousands of different variations of fish, birds, cats even. Like, I love cats, and they all have their own temperaments and stuff. God is a big flexer in creation, and you think you don't want that with your life, with your beauty, with your happy and excitement? What kind of God do you think we serve? No. He gave Solomon the riches. He gave Solomon the wisdom. David wasn't poor. Neither was Abraham. I can't think of one poor person that God worked with in the Bible in terms of like His prophets and stuff. Like the apostles, after when they was traveling, to preach the gospel, but even the church and people would welcome them in, and it was people of wealth and means that was feeding them. God provided that for them. None of the kings that God worked with were poor, were beggars. He even said, you will be the lender, not the borrower, the head, not the tail. So why, when you have it, you feel like you have to go broke and poor you feel guilty when you have something, and you have to throw all of it to your family or friends that are not doing anything, and you're keeping people around you. You don't get respect for that. You do not get respect for that. Another thing with people that don't get respect is that I notice people that are rude, people don't call them like that. People don't call them for favors. I just could not understand it. But as I got older, I'm like, people still respect you, even though like you're not making yourself constantly available for things, right? It's just crazy. But people that don't get respect, people that are the least respected in society, are people that people usually reach out to only when they need something. You think someone respects you when they only call you when they need something, when they need a favor? Really think about it. Ask yourself. Have a real tough talk with yourself. Do you think it's a sign of respect when people call you when they only need something? If you're dating a guy, in your mind, ladies, you've probably been there, okay? We've all been there. But every time he calls you, it's late. He needs the booty. And after that, he's done. Is that respect? You're not calling me to talk, to communicate, to understand my mind. Is that respect? Now, if someone's going to text me, call me, we having a deep conversation. We're going to go in. We're going to talk about politics, Bible stuff, the earth, wind, fire. I don't know. But it cannot be like you just need me. Like, I'm not your lady of the night. There's no respect in that. Whether it's friends, whether it's family, there's no respect in that. Another thing that goes in it is that people don't respect you when they constantly cut you off when you're talking. Not just cutting you off, but they dismiss what you say. They don't validate, like anything you say, they want to fact check, they want to correct, they just don't value your opinion in any setting. Okay. The reason why rude people or other people get more respect is because you're going to listen to what they will call you out for interrupting them. Like, I just find that the biggest thing is just that quote unquote rude people are bold and honest. Like, can I finish my statement? It's not rude. You checking the, au contraire, it's not rude to tell a person, hey, you just cut me off. I would like to finish my statement. The person who cut you off is the rude one. not you for calling it out. A lot of times as people pleasers, we feel like for calling out someone's rudeness, we're being rude. But no, you're rude for what you just did. I'm calling you out to let you know I'm not cool with that. If you skip me in a line, I'm not rude for telling you, excuse me, you're skipping me. Can you get back where you came from? I'm not the rude one. What made you think you could just skip me in the line? You get what I'm saying? If you let the person skip you in the line, they're going to skip you for promotions. They're going to skip you call first dibs on things that could actually help promote your life. Stop letting people skip you. It does not make sense. You're not rude. Once you remove that thought from your head that I am rude because I'm calling out somebody else's rudeness, you're going to go so much further in life. You're not rude for calling somebody else's rudeness out. You're not. Cut it out, that mentality that you are. It's false. It's not true. It's really not true. And the sooner you realize that, the better you will be. Also is when the person does not respect your no's. They don't respect your boundaries. You're not a person that they see deserves the respect. Like, if I say no for something, you should respect it unless you're a criminal. I said no. One thing I've learned in this short life of mine is that if I say no, I can't let you convince me once I say no. And being that I came from the corporate world and I'm a student of marketing and business, I understand the art of not being persuaded out of my no. Because if you're negotiating a deal with someone else, and there's a book, The Art of Negotiations, like I'm going to do a video about negotiations for you guys because y'all requested that a while back and I didn't forget. I just have a long list of requests, but it's on there. But when you're negotiating with someone else and your gut feeling, you have to trust your gut with business. I'm a big believer in trusting your gut, your instincts with business deals. It works. It works. It works. You just got to go with your instincts. And usually people fail when they allow themselves to be persuaded out of their instincts. That's just for me and my business model that has worked for me. But I understand some people can think differently. But once someone feel like they can convince you out of your no, like for instance, let me give you a dating scenario. A guy comes up, can I buy you a drink? No, I'm okay, thank you. And they sit there, oh, come on, pretty lady. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, I have a boyfriend. I'm sorry. I don't know him. I don't see a ring on that finger. Keep going. You get up, you move. That's it. I'm not entertaining this. And you reiterate, listen, sir, you're making me uncomfortable. I have a boyfriend. I'm not doing this. But what you do, trying to be polite, you don't want to be mean. And I know it's a little dangerous to reject men in this place. That's why, I don't know. This topic is pretty tricky, but avoid places with people, with certain types of people. Like, don't go certain places. Please, ladies, protect yourself in this day and age because, that's victim shaming. Listen, it's not victim shaming, it's reality. And a lot of us need tough talks. Like, I just don't like clubs. I don't like clubs. I don't like bars. I don't like sketchy places, especially at night. I don't even put my gas at night. I don't. If I'm desperate for gas at night, best believe I'm calling a man to come do it for me. I'm not doing it at night. But regardless, I don't even want to put the men in my life, like my brothers and family like that, in these type of situations. So I avoid being low on gas at night. I make sure I always check that. If you giggling when the guy is talking to you, you like, I have a boyfriend, but he's starting, I don't see him. It's like, oh my goodness, stop. I got a boyfriend. Like, you're showing some form of like you're entertained by it. You're giggling, you're engaging, and you're letting him talk to you a little bit too long and you're not setting that boundary. He knows he can wear you down. He knows he can wear you down and boom, he's locked in. And about intuition, if you're not into a guy and he's pushing like that, 9 out of 10 times, with rare exceptions to the case, it turns out badly. And if someone feels like they can convince you out of your no, you're done. People gotta know my no is no. Oh, I can't come to this party tonight. Oh, but everybody's gonna be there. You gotta come. Come on, blah, blah, blah. No. No is a complete sentence. Oh, I can't stay too long. I have to go work. No, but then just another hour. Could you? No. You can't convince me out of it. I already told you what I have to do. I told you my stipulations. I told you my dilemma. It's a lack of respect they have for you to try to even think they can convince you otherwise. Once you tell someone, I have this amount of work to do or this, that, and that, and they continue to convince you, to try to convince you to not prioritize what's good for you, they don't respect you. They do not respect you. They're seeing themselves. I need you right now. I need this help. I don't care about what you got to do. But when it's your turn to be broke or, not have things figured out, where are they? Where are they? It's a lack of respect. Make sure that your boundaries are respected. Make sure your no is a no. I don't care who it is. Make sure they respect your no. Another thing with rude, quote unquote, people is that they don't allow people to talk down to them. You're not going to make me feel small without my permission. That's one of the things with rude people. You're not going to talk down to me. And I love this because for me, for starters, I always feel like the minute you invite or allow disrespect or someone to put you down, to talk to you any kind of way, to crush your dreams, it becomes a pattern when they got away with it one time and you didn't check them. And it's never too late. If someone has been doing it, you set the boundary like, hey, I don't like when you do that. Don't do that to me. And then moving forward, if you continue to do that, that's the end of the friendship. If they don't respect it, that's that. But when someone puts you down, you allow people to put you down, they're not going to respect you. You allow the jokes to be at your expense. Sometimes, I'm a very friendly person. One of the things that I know is that I have become this person that people don't joke crazy with. I used to be a person. I let every joke slide. Every joke, inappropriate joke, mean joke, put down jokes. Let it slide. No biggie. Now, it's better to be the person that you can't joke with like that. It doesn't mean I'm not friendly. Anyone could approach me and talk to me, but I set a strict limit on how you can talk to me. What jokes to make with me. Is it like, oh, she thinks she's all that? Just think whatever you want to think. But when I was allowing whatever, my mental health wasn't good. I was disrespected. I'd rather sit there and you think I'm snobbish and all of that than for me to allow you to make any kind of joke with me. That's crazy. And then when one of them make the joke with you, all of them. I used to have male friends that were cool like that. Men that didn't know me would see how maybe a joke that we make. Because in the Haitian community, Caribbean community, we joke aggressively. We're very aggressive. Not aggressive, but jokes are no filter or whatever. So someone who doesn't know me too well would see a good friend of mine joke with me like that and then think, oh, it's okay, I can joke with her like that. And I'm like, hold up, I don't know you like that. So it came to a point where I had to sit down my male friends and be like, listen, no jokes like this, none of this, you can't do this with me, especially not in public, because I cannot afford for anyone to feel like it's acceptable because you're doing it to me. And if they care about you, they'll respect it. None of my male friends continued after. None of them. It was just like, okay, we get it. We get it. Au contraire, now, if someone's making a weird joke with me, they'll be the one to check it and be like, bro, chill. Don't even do that with her. Even rough play, whatever, I don't even have to say nothing. But the people around you have to be able to respect that and enforce that for you too. Like the respect I have for my friends and my people, I'm not going to let anybody talk to them any kind of way or about them any kind of way, okay? You got to have people in your life that you're confident leaving the room and knowing that it's as if you were still there. People just can't talk about you. No, none of my friends is going to come to me and say, Kareen, here's what I heard somebody said about you. What? None of them can do that. And I can't do that to none of my friends because no one would even imagine to come talk about one of my friends. And friends is a term I don't use loosely. It's not going to happen. And with jokes, they know that. You got to limit those jokes. There has to be some respect. You cannot be the person people just feel they can get a joke out of and you're just going to take it. Oh, be a good sport. No, I'm not a good sport. That's very offensive. Do not talk to me like that. Don't make jokes like that about me. Because even though you might see it as nothing, or I know this person like that, others around that you might not be okay with playing with you like that may start to, like, let me give you an example. In my bestie, both our moms died around the same time. So we sometimes make mama's jokes. That's our thing. We make it. And sometimes it may slip around someone where we make mama's joke. It's our coping mechanism. That's just how we are. And someone who, and it's a true story, someone who we weren't that familiar with, but that was around, just because me and my best friend did those jokes so much, the person just decided to make a joke like that with us. And we both stopped like, excuse me? Because I'm sorry. I was like, yeah. And then me and her realized, okay, we can't joke like this around people like that. Because I didn't like that person. It was like, yeah, okay. We stopped joking like that around people. We left it as our insider. And that was a lesson to me that how the people closest to your family, the jokes you allow, if you allow when you bring your man over and your family keeps calling you fat, or they keep embarrassing you with little jokes that are mean-spirited and stuff, eventually you see the man may start to incorporate that too if he's not a good man. If you don't call it out, oh, I don't like how they talk to you, this is unacceptable, and you're laughing at the family, you're just letting it slide, now he's going to start calling you fat. Start treating you that way because your family just let it be okay. You have to have those protectors in your life that's like, no, don't do that, in this limit. Or if you have a friend, maybe you say something crazy about your parents and then your spouse starts to talk crazy about your parents. And you're like, hold up, only I can talk about them like that. You getting a little too much dip on your chip. I could talk about my peoples like that, but you can't talk about my peoples like that. But that's the whole concept of, you made them comfortable, because why are you even talking about your peoples like that? Even if it's venting, it's fair game if you're talking to somebody about them like that. And this is what I mean by jokes, right? It's just fair game. If you allow one to joke bad about you, everyone, it's fair game. Because how come you let this person, but I can't? And especially if the person starts to feel like we are close. But to you, you're not that close, because there's a lot of people, a lot of lopsided friendships where people feel closer to you than they actually are. Which goes into my next, which is disrespect, tolerating disrespect. And under no circumstances should there be any form of disrespect, angry, people yelling at you. One thing with rude people that get respect is that even if it's a customer service help, like you on the line, the person starts to get, hold on, who you yelling at? Who you talking to? You'll see a rude person quickly check that. Don't lower your tone, please. And people will be like, yeah, but guess what? People don't like to really go back and forth unless you got a mental issue or you're just naturally just uneducated or naturally aggressive. People don't really like to escalate things and fight with people. Like if you see someone who comes up there like, who are you talking to? Usually the person can switch a little bit, okay? Not in all cases, but especially if it's a friend though. If it's a friend or it's family and they disrespect you with anger, violence, and all of this, stand your ground. I told y'all before my stories of getting into fights that I wasn't the best fighter when I was growing up, but, being bullied for being Haitian, essentially, you had to fight a lot. And one thing I knew is even if I got beat up, I was going to put up a fight. I was going to stand up for myself. So every time I got into a fight, I put up a fight. I didn't just stand there. Even if I lost, I put up a fight. And guess what? Eventually people knew, even if I could whoop her, I'm still going to leave damaged in some way. So it's not even worth it. Let me go to the weaker target. Stand up and fight. It's the same thing. And that's the thing with tolerating anger and disrespect and yelling. Like if you're in a relationship, the first time he yells at you, he curses at you, you just allow it. You stick around. Y'all forgive quickly. There's no repercussions. Like we said in T1, there's no consequences for his or her actions. It's going to be a terrible relationship. I'm not talking about, you love bomb me and that's that and this. No, this is completely unacceptable. You can never talk to me like that. Matter of fact, I need about 2 weeks to think if I really want to be in a relationship where you feel you can talk to me like that. And a lot of men date women that would disrespect them in public, that would disrespect. Like, I've seen some crazy relationships where the women are all in their face, blah, 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 embarrassing them, being loud. And the man, I'm like, where did you go wrong? I'm looking at the man like, where did you go wrong? And guess where did you go wrong? He went wrong in the first time. The first sign of disrespect that she gave, you should have been checked that. Like, no, absolutely not. Don't call me out my name. Don't talk to me like that. I'm out. You're not going to be crazy with me. Because if you're doing it at home, I let it slide. I think it's normal. Eventually, it escalates. Disrespect and anger escalates. And a person who is respected, who is usually respected, that doesn't necessarily have to be rude. You don't have to be rude to get that. Respect is a person that nips it in the bud. Like, I'm not rude to anybody, but hey, from the first glance, if we cannot talk it out, you're not for me. I don't need you to escalate anything. We don't need to get loud. We don't need to curse. We don't need to, why are we cursing? Why are we so angry? Like, aggressive. I understand you can be passionate, but why is it getting to this point? And it's very toxic to find it okay. And I know a lot of us may find these type of behaviors okay, but it's not. Do not tolerate anger in any shape or form. And always show that you will stand your ground. You will put up a fight. Even in a relationship, you show that, hey, I'm not going to take that line now. You're not just going to talk to me like that. And then by the end of the evening, I'm cooking your favorite meal. Excuse me? No, there's some consequences. You're going to need to take a sabbatical. Stay away from me, out of my face right now. I don't even want to see you. I'm not even talking to you for today. You do not get to make it hard for the person every time they disrespect you. You make it hard for them. They have to work for your respect again, your trust again. You cannot talk to me like this. Do not accept it. But in the same breath, you don't got to talk to people like that. It's just a matter of setting boundaries. Literally treat people the way you want to be treated. People that get respected are very unapologetic. If you're always the one apologizing all the time, first, I said that in the beginning, you try to make the person comfortable. Once you set your ground, you said what you said, and then it's like, let me go apologize. Blah, blah, blah. There's no respect. There's no respect there. You got to stop apologizing. You said what you said. Why are you reaching out? The person is never going to respect you. Never going to respect a person that constantly have to keep apologizing and throwing themselves out there. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I understand forgiving. You can forgive without having to, apologize for someone else's mistakes. Now, when you're wrong, apologize for when you're wrong. What I'm talking about is you're apologizing and you didn't even do nothing. You just want to keep the peace, so you're not even holding people accountable. And you're apologizing, the person got nothing back to say. Like, you should be apologizing. They're accepting your apology as if they did nothing wrong. You're never going to get respect like that. You got to let people deal with that. Like, you got to feel no guilt, no shame, and not apologizing when you're not wrong. Period. And you cannot be walking around always trying to fix things, apologizing. You got to be okay with, this person might be upset, but I'm not going to apologize for this. I did nothing wrong, and leave it at that. To pray to know the difference and how to be respected, because I really do not believe that God wants people to disrespect us in any shape, way, or form. God is very protective of, here's how I see myself, to tell y'all my testimony. I always see myself as God's literal little princess. That's how I see it. He got me out of so much stuff, and I've come from a lot, and I am here today. And all the lessons I've learned. And if you stumble upon this video, you watch until the end, it's for a reason. Because I pray over my subscribers. I pray that God brings me my tribe. The right people watch the videos and He speaks through me. I pray over every video. So it's not a mistake if you're watching. And He wants the same thing for you, okay? I'm His princess. I'm His child. He loves me. That when I'm heartbroken, I always say, never be the reason why someone's on their knees praying. Never be the reason why. They're hurting and they're begging God to remove the hurt that you caused. Because if God is for that person, it will be bad for you. And I'm the type of person that strongly believe that As a princess, he protects me. I may not have bodyguards around, security and all of that, but I have an army of angels that he can send any minute to protect me from anything, from the fire, from any literal thing. And I believe that if I'm a princess and I carry myself as such, and he really is my father, that's my true belief. That's how I see myself, and I know it's fact. It is my fact, my belief. I care not what anyone else believes in, but I am truly his princess, his child. He loves me. And if that is the case, he's sensitive about me. When you look at how he defended David in every battle, even against Saul, he literally would send his Holy Spirit to whisper in their ears, don't go this direction. Go there instead, to protect them from evil. David wrote Psalms 23 based off of God's protection. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. God promised to even make your enemies your footstool. This is the love he had for David, the same love he has for me, the same love he has for you. No one could mess with his children. And once you really welcome that, I'm not trying to get like all super preachy and stuff. I'm not even trying to do that. But once you accept that for me as my testimony, you can know if there's anything to ever trust Kareen in, is that when I've accepted this truth as my truth, it's impossible for people to not respect me. There's a dignity I walk with, knowing that I'm really royalty because I have access just by praying. I have access to the man who created, the God who created everything. I have access to that same God that created the oceans and all those birds we're talking about. Just by praying in my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, is that not a flex? And I came from a spiritual country like Haiti, where I witnessed a lot of spiritual things that weren't always godly. I know there's an enemy force out there. It's impossible for me to ever be atheist or to believe in anything other than God, the creator, Yahweh. It's impossible with what I've seen, how I've lived. And to know that is to know that you are a princess. And I don't even say queen. I'm okay with being a princess because I have a father who's king. And I know he's a good father. There might be bad earthly fathers out there, ones that abuse you. They might be the ones disrespecting you and causing you harm, but he doesn't. And believe me, I don't have the best examples. I'll just leave it as that. But he's my father, and he's a good father. And because he's a good father, he's very protective of his children. Very protective. And because of that, that's my bonus, in that my respect is legit. Because I know I don't have to combat. The fact that people know I'm not going to go back and forth with them, I carry myself away. Like, I'm going to pray about it. That's my biggest weapon. I'm not going to pray for your harm, but that God transform you. And many times I've had people that done me wrong acknowledge it and come back and see it. And that's divine intervention. That's not me. So one of the things the Lord says is hold your peace and let the Lord fight your battle. Sometimes the best thing to do in disrespect is to just stare at people like, say nothing. Keep a song in your heart. Pray about it. Let God deal with it. They'll come back and testify. Trust me. They'll testify and they'll not respect you. I'm not saying to walk and be a doormat. That's not what I'm saying. But not everything needs your response when you're a princess. When you come from royalty, not everything deserves a response. And I truly believe when you're God's child is when you accepted him into your heart and you believe in him, you have faith, you believe in his son. And what's out there is, the children of the enemy are those who are living in a way where they cannot be kind. They cannot be nice. They let other darkness consume them. And I'm telling you that this is the safest place to be if you really want respect. It just is. It just is. It just is. And in all the little wisdom that I've acquired in my short life, I can guarantee you that nothing has done more for my respect and my influence, my power, even my communication style with you guys than that. And I will always give credit for that. I will never end a video, whoever don't like it, without giving credit to that, because that is my reality. But this is all I have in this long video. It's longer than I intended. I literally intended to make like a 20-minute video, but hey, it is what it is. I love you guys so much. If you watched this far, you guys probably can't see in the lighting because the ring light is so bright, but leave a green heart in the comments for me so I know you watched till the end with the green heart. And definitely thumbs up the video, engage, and share with a friend. Share to your Facebook pages, share on your stories. Let's grow our little community. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, and comment below what other topics you guys would like me to delve into. Until next time. Mwah.